Hey guys, ECRG here, back with another episode. As you can see from the title of today's episode, we're talking about traveling during the pandemic. What is it like to travel during the COVID-19 pandemic? Well, I recently had my first trip to Columbus, Ohio, actually, for a monitoring visit about a week ago now. And what was it like traveling during the pandemic? So for those watching on YouTube, you will see some photos I took of just some food and what it's like during Columbus, Ohio during the pandemic. You'll see those kind of flash on the screen, and I'll kind of talk about those. But if you're listening on the podcast, I will do my best to kind of talk through and illustrate what you see on screen. It's just a few photos, so you're not really missing much. But so yeah, now in this photo, you can see what it's like in downtown Columbus. And pretty much even before the pandemic, downtown Columbus was pretty kind of low key, especially because I went during the time when the students were not on campus. Before I went during the summer, I think, so it's a little bit less. A lot of students from Ohio State University, which is a very, very large university. I think it's got about 70,000 students. Obviously, most of the students are not there during that time, during the summer. But now I went back. And the students, I believe, just started school that week. So it was a little bit busier, I think, than it normally has been, but never crazy busy. Columbus, Ohio is not a crazy busy place. But obviously people are wearing masks everywhere in Columbus, Ohio. And, you know, it's probably a lot less than usual. Just the number of people. Because the weather was absolutely great. It's absolutely fantastic. And you'll see a picture come on the screen soon about me going on my favorite greenway. So I go on this greenway. I don't know what it's called. I just kind of stumbled upon it one day riding a scooter. So because I stay in downtown Columbus, it's right near this greenway. I think it's probably about like 0.2 or 0.3 miles. What I do is I go grab one of those scooters, Lime scooter, Bird scooter, whatever they have. And I just go right around downtown and go up and down that greenway because it's just amazing. You'll probably see the picture of that come up here pretty soon. The greenway. Yep, there it is. And you can see the beautiful skyline of downtown Columbus. Here's some food I had. This is bruschetta from my favorite Italian restaurant right there. It's called Martini Modern Italian. And I did takeout. So the first day I did takeout. And that's what I'm probably going to do when I'm traveling. And I also had penne vodka sauce. It's got mushrooms in it. Then the second night I went to my favorite joint called the Eagle. And, you know, the Eagle is famous for fried chicken. And you'll probably see that right about now. And then I also had these hush puppies, these jalapeno cornbread hush puppies, which were absolutely amazing with the comeback sauce. So the Eagle is one of my favorite restaurants to go to. And I always try and go when I'm in Columbus or Indianapolis, because I have it in Indianapolis, I have it in Columbus, Ohio, and they're expanding too, also to Charlotte, North Carolina. I know they have a few locations, you can check them out, but they've got some of the best fried chicken I've ever had. And I love fried chicken, so I love that place, the Eagle. So the Eagle and Martini are my two favorite restaurants in Columbus, Ohio, by far. So what is it like actually going through the airport and stuff like that? I'm sure people are wondering. Well, most of the restaurants are actually closed in the airport, so you got to make sure that you have eaten before, especially if it's a small airport. Like the Columbus airport, all the restaurants were closed. In Atlanta, some of the restaurants were closed, but they had a lot more open. I went to one Delta lounge. It was open. The Delta lounges and some of the other airports are closed, and some of the American Airlines lounges are closed. So you really got to be careful. Make sure you eat beforehand. I wouldn't bank on anything being open. They have reduced hours. I think predominantly because there's reduced people traveling. So why would they need to be open longer? So that makes it difficult, especially being a CRA, you know, getting on the flights late, things of that nature. And wanting to eat. So you got to be very, very careful with that. As far as security, there was literally nobody in security. So it was a breeze to get through. They made you remove your mask for the ID check. You know, when you get your photo ID out and they check to make sure it's you. So they make you remove your mask and then you put it right back on. As far as seating on the airplane, it was every other seat. So I sat in first class, and those are typically 2 on one side, 2 on the other side. And I was the only person in that row, so I sat one, and then there was another person across the aisle. And they sit you on the window. So that's what Delta's doing, because I fly Delta. And then as far as seating, I did sit in Comfort Plus one time, and I think it was every other. So window and aisle on both sides. So that was fine. Thing is, though, you have to keep your mask on the entire time. So I did have a pretty long layover in Atlanta, a couple hours. So you have to keep your mask on the entire time, pretty much. So you want to make sure if you are traveling that you have a comfortable mask, one that you can be in for hours upon hours. And it was weird. It's the mask makes things a little bit more uncomfortable just because you have to wear it for so long. Typically before that, I was running into a store, I'd have the mask on for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then you take it right back off when you get in your car. But that was the first time I've ever had a mask on for hours upon hours. So definitely shout out to the first responders and, the people who have to wear masks all the time, nurses, doctors, etc. Because it is tough. And I had on a more comfortable mask, just like a piece of cloth or whatever. I couldn't imagine having that N95 mask on because I have those also. But yeah, traveling was definitely weird. So, you definitely want to reduce the amount of time you're in the airport. I couldn't find a better flight where I had less of a layover, so I had to deal with it. But next time I'm going to make sure I have either a direct flight or one with a very, very short layover if possible. Columbus is one of the only places I go that you have layovers, really, anyway. Most of the other ones are direct flights. So yeah. Not sure how much more I'm going to be traveling. Probably 1 or 2 more trips this year. And that's going to be about it for travel, I think. And then probably travel will open more back up in 2021 if there's not some kind of depression or huge recession or something like that. But yeah, guys, that's basically travel. The second night I was there, I did end up eating inside the restaurant, which I'm definitely against still at this point. Just it's not really worth it. But the restaurant was very, very open. They were social distancing inside 6 feet apart, and it was not busy at all because I went right at like 5 o'clock when I got off site. So I felt more comfortable eating inside, not to mention who wants soggy chicken? I know that's a stupid reason compared to getting the coronavirus. But I was sitting near like a window and door opening, like they had the whole restaurant opened up. So I did feel a little more comfortable with that. But I definitely don't recommend it, and I'm not going to be doing that much more anymore. So I definitely do take out most of the time. Even for personal use, I still have not eaten inside a restaurant. Definitely just do takeout just because it's the same food. So yeah, that's what's like traveling during the pandemic. Definitely made travel less enjoyable. I typically love travel, and I hated every minute of traveling like that. With the mask on and stuff. So it's weird, man. It's definitely weird to see the airports like that. Literally, the whole airport is empty until, a flight is about to happen. Then people board the flight, and they're boarding the flights back to front on Delta, which I feel like they should have been boarding the whole time anyway. So it's funny because normally when you're in Comfort Plus, you're one of the first people to board, but literally, because of the way they do it back to front, you're like the last person to board because first class can board anytime. They board them first, and then they can board anytime. But otherwise, if you're like in the last row, you're one of the first people to board, which is cool for you. And I think it makes boarding much faster, actually, when they board back to front like that. So maybe they'll keep that after the pandemic. But yeah, guys, if you're interested in any resume review or interview preparation, email me, eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. And hope this was informative. Take care, guys.